Hey everybody, what is up? I Fight Sin on Twitch. What's up, Malik? Kululu777 on Twitch. Hey everybody, thanks for being here at the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We're about to get the show started, and we're very excited about it. I'm sending out the text message as we speak, so if your friends are on the text message list, they'll know to come hang out with us. Okay. My goodness, folks, 2 shows in a row, Sunday and Monday. It makes sense that we had to get started pretty late. We're getting started late. We know this, but we are committed to an efficient and valuable show for you guys. Efficiency and value. Those are the key words for today's show. So we hope you guys do enjoy it. Remember, if you do get value out of this show, you can always become a producer by heading on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. Or you can go to CanaryCry.Party, and that'll give you everything you need to, feel fulfilled and happy with the way that your life is going. Along those lines, we do have the poll. We are still running the poll. If you have not taken the episode 500 poll, please go take it. It'll be in your email box if you're on the newsletter, or you can find a link for it over at CanaryCry.Party. Please do that, because it's very helpful as we move into this new season of Canary Cry News Talk and figure out what to do. What do we even do, All right, folks, we got a great show. Here we go. Stay hydrated. Let's do this.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 27th, 2022, and we are live to tape on episode 502. And today, Shamanic Metaconflict. And signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, podcasting live from California. Here to serve you a podcast with the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And there are lots of world events happening between yesterday's show and today's show.
We were a little worried that we thought, surely, don't call me Shirley. And also, not enough current events could happen in a 24-hour period to fill an entire new show. But alas, that's what we get for underestimating the madness of this clown world that we live in. But I will start off with some good news, Gonz. You'll be happy to know I did figure out how to turn up your voice in my headphones. Oh, great.
So you can hear me better. I don't have to scream and shout to get your attention.
You know, it's so funny. We've been dealing with this for a week or so, maybe even a little bit more, after I had my catastrophic, event, the Windows update that broke everything. And turns out the solution was just extremely easy. It was something I could have done at any moment and just didn't occur to me to do. As is how life happens sometimes. Yeah. But now I can hear you react and laugh at all my funny jokes, and also hear your gasps of shock and awe as I give you a little rundown of what to expect for the rest of the show today. Are you ready?
Ready.
That's right. We're going to start off with some Ukraine news. It's Monday, folks, and things are happening. The Ukrainian shaman are on the march. Of course, we have to carry some water for Putin, check in on Russia, some of the movements going on within the Russian economy and geopolitical relationships. Flippy. Oh, we got a Flippy update, folks. This could be the ball game. I'll tell you what. We're moving into politics, checking in with old Giuliani. Hope he's okay, as well as China. We have an interesting breakdown, and I think is actually an extremely valuable deconstruction of the theater that we have been watching happening in the Supreme Court, not just with Roe, but across the board. After the break, we're going to say goodbye to the YouTube audience and get into the COVID and the vaccine and all that saucy stuff. And at the end of the show, of course, Antarctica, drones, we got to check back in. So there you go, Gonz. Let's start out with our lead stories.
Fight for Ukraine, new world order.
That's right. You know, the thing that the world has loved about Ukraine, the Ukraine conflict in general, is Ukraine underdog, right? Underdog. The bookies are paying out big time for the underdog. And not only that, Ukraine has this wonderful air of sort of folklorian mystery about it. Of course, we all remember the ghost of Kiev. There's the grandma. There was some grandma that had some folklorian tale behind her, giving, what was it, sunflower seeds to Russian soldiers, so when they die on Ukrainian soil, a flower grows. Right. All sorts of fairy tale-esque stories coming out of Ukraine. Well, there's more, Gonz. The Sunday Times is reporting Shaman special forces take the fight across the border into Russia. Dun, dun, dun. Rotor blades clattered in the night sky as the helicopters. Even the reporting on it is like we're reading a fairy tale, like book to a young child who has stars dancing in their eyes. Rotor blades clattered in the night sky as the helicopters streak low over the Russian border. Ooh, on board the men of the Shaman Battalion, an elite Ukrainian special forces unit prepared to disembark deep behind enemy lines. Their mission to destroy infrastructure vital to the Kremlin's war effort was one of the several covert raids inside Russia. The Times has been told by two of the operators who took part and an intelligence officer, the first time Ukrainian special forces have acknowledged taking the fight into Russian territory. The exact targets are classified, but the team's forays across the border help to explain how Russian oil refineries, ammunition depots, and communications networks have been mysteriously sabotaged.
Okay, hold on. Stop for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out how the secret group,
the Shamans,
the Shaman Battalion, went into Russia. They're not saying what they did, but also notice the Russian oil refineries, ammunition depots, and communication networks being mysteriously sabotaged. Are they not basically showing their hand here with this article?
Well, you'll remember the reports of these attacks deep within enemy lines. Remember the Telegram guy. Remember, most of the reporting came from a Telegram guy, just a guy on Telegram, and none of the mainstream was carrying it. So they got a little note like, don't cover this, please.
Right.
But you get the UK rags like Daily Mail and Metro.co.uk were reporting it. Which was suspect already.
Uh-oh.
Refinery, I think a weapons
we lost
depot.
We lost you for like 3 seconds, at least live.
Really?
Yeah,
Dang,
it's doing that
that's
thing
so
again.
Annoying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Yeah, my whole system is like laggy the last couple episodes, so maybe it's me on my end.
I wonder if that's you or me.
Yeah.
I'll do a speed test when it's not my turn to talk.
Okay.
But the point is, okay. So the reporting had remains of a very specific missile. They've been reporting these as missile attacks.
Right.
And I'm thinking that these missile attacks were a bit of a rare red herring, and that maybe the photos of the missile parts were sort of planted in the telegram, and really it's an boots on the ground team of shamanistic special forces.
Yeah, we need to get back to the shaman battalion.
We're doing it. Okay, here we go. Oh, I know. This is great. I just wanted to connect that to people who have been following the reporting on the show. It's all connected is the thing. Okay, it continues. And this is a great part. Sergeants Handsome and 22. What a cool call name. Handsome. I'm Sergeant Handsome. And 22, both aged 25 years old, have been fighting President Putin's foot. Look, it's sad. It's sad, Gonz, when the young, bright-eyed little podcast boy, feel like a grandpa compared to these special forces units.
Oh, trust me. That
I know how you
end,
feel,
buddy. That just gets worse.
Oh, I know how you're feeling, Gonz, but I'm just a baby.
Of course, but throughout this article, it goes into more. I don't know. Just keep going because there's a lot here.
I'm going. I just needed to have an existential crisis live on air. Both aged 25 have been fighting President Putin's forces since this hybrid invasion of Ukraine in 2014. In 2014, these guys would have been like 18 years old.
Exactly.
Intelligent, articulate, and in peak physical condition. They were selected for the special forces after years of combat in regular units. Quote, the most interesting missions are working behind enemy lines, planting explosives behind the front lines beyond the border, said 22, detailing a plan to sow confusion and dissent among the enemy that he asked the Times not to disclose.
Wow. This is a long. I lost him completely. All right, hold on one second here, folks. Let's see. Let me just get Basil off the call. Maybe he'll call back in. Let me just continue reading until he calls back here. He was in the quote. The most interesting missions are working behind enemy lines, planting explosives behind the front lines beyond the border, said 22. And by the way, for those of you listening, the two sergeants, they're Sergeant Handsome and Sergeant 22, both 25 years old, part of the Shaman battalion. So, okay, they're behind enemy lines, said 22. Handsome added, quote, the Russians don't know what happened. They often can't believe we were there. Both are members of Shaman Battalion, a nickname given to Ukraine's 10th Special Forces Detachment for its almost otherworldly abilities. Now, I find that fascinating that they would be named the Shaman Battalion, and the reason for it being, whoa, there's Basil. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, and I don't know why such a catastrophic event would have happened.
That was bad. Did your
speed
computer
test
turn off?
It's just a disconnect, just a pure disconnect.
All right.
My speed test is fine. Download's a little slow, but upload's looking good. So,
okay.
I think maybe you should take the reading on this just while I stabilize the system over here.
Yeah, I was already kind of doing that. So, yeah, okay. Good. So, where was I? Yeah. Your thoughts, though, that the sentence here, both are members of Shaman Battalion, a nickname given to Ukraine's 10th Special Forces Detachment for its almost otherworldly abilities. Mm-hmm. That's a interesting way to...
Spirit warriors, man.
Yeah, the spiritual warriors. Yeah, the Shaman Battalion. It is the assault and reconnaissance arm of Ukrainian military intelligence, which means U.S. too. And it accepts only those men who pass the most grueling tests of endurance and survival skills. The unit specializes in diving, parachuting, and mountaineering. Honestly, Basil, in another life, you and I,
That's
it wouldn't
what
be
I'm
Basil
saying.
and Gonz. It would be Sergeant
Sergeant Handsome.
Sergeant Handsome.
It'd be Sergeant Handsome and Gonz.
We'd be battling for Ukraine for all our lives.
You know what? I'm only just a couple years too old, I think, is the problem. All these guys are extremely young, but hey, these are the skills. Hit me up, Shaman Battalion. Actually, please don't. I don't want to do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't use the word hit.
I have a podcast I have to do. I don't have time.
It has fought alongside British and American troops in Afghanistan and earned a reputation as the creme de la creme of Ukraine's special forces. Quote, "We send them to take on the most difficult tasks because they're the best and the bravest," said a senior Ukrainian intelligence officer there. Excuse me, I'm trying to do a show here. Oh, yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's kind of just a complete disaster all the time. Quote, "They are hugely important to the war effort. Although the unit was better prepared for February's invasion than other branches of the country's armed forces, it still came as a shock," Handsome said. Quote, "Every day we have been told the invasion would start tomorrow, and then it didn't come," he said. "When it finally started, I didn't believe it." Oh, no.
Yeah, you and me both. Sergeant Handsome.
The men were thrown into battle immediately against their counterparts in the Russian Spetsnaz at Antonov Airport in Hostomel, where helicopter-borne paratroopers were attempting to secure an air supply route to armored columns advancing on the Ukrainian capital. Quote, "We took positions in the hangars and the barracks, engaging in a 4-hour firefight until we needed to rotate with some National Guard units." So I'm picturing these guys, just hanging out, and then, all of a sudden, oh, it's on. We're actually gonna war. Let's do it. And then, going into the barracks and then like getting their guns out and shooting Russians for 4 hours. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, I guess we're doing it. So
the whole thing, he's waiting for it to start. I mean, it even at the, I don't know how many other details. This article really is.
It's long.
It is you are reading a fairy tale story. Not that it's not real. It's just very sort of weird, like I don't know. It's just very mythical. And they tell story after story about these guys and their amazing feats. But yeah, at the end here, it does mention before the invasion, 22 had begun planning to set up a chain of gyms. Handsome was expecting to go into Ukraine's blossoming IT industry, build a house and start a family. Now they are focused solely on defending the motherland. Quote, "Everybody has his own motivation. Somebody has a wife. Somebody already doesn't have a wife. Some people have family in occupied Kherson or under Russian artillery in Mykolaiv," 22 said. Quote, "My motivation is to fight to see something different, to see a civilian life for the next generation, to not have to fight a Russian war."
Okay.
It's a profound statement from one so young.
You skipped the really some important parts here. First off,
Sure. Well, that's why I asked.
Yeah. No, there's a part here that has it says this: Shaman Battalion was involved in every big engagement in the battle for Kiev, and continued to harass the invasion forces as it fled through the Chernobyl exclusion zone back across the Belarusian border. So that whole time, all that stuff taking place, these two guys were, going at it.
They were there. Yeah.
Special forces have formed the backbone of Ukraine's defenses, often organized, freshly mobilized troops who are highly motivated but undertrained and ill-equipped. So it talks about how the Ukrainian forces were very motivated, but they were sort of under-equipped, informed, undertrained. Yeah. The Russian forces, on the other hand, according to these guys, they were they have heavy artillery and everything else, but they were psychologically they were down in the dumps. They were down and out. They weren't feeling very positive about what was going on. So it was interesting, and it talks about how 22. Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah. Well, while he takes care of the babies there, I think this is the takeaway from this is a similar takeaway to I don't even have my video on.
No,
sorry about that, folks.
That's part of it too.
Sorry. So can I give a takeaway?
Yeah, sure.
So we can move on to some other stories here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay. We said we were going to be efficient on this.
I know.
If it's
I know. It's just the
vital,
show's just been very I don't know.
I know.
Sporadic and
It's crazy.
clunky, and
It's crazy, man. It's okay. So why don't you hit your important stuff, and then I want to do a takeaway.
Okay, so the guy, I think it's 22. He's talking about all the violence. He's talking about how he went to war at age 18, blah blah blah, and he went into some of the stuff you talked about. I think he got hit with shrapnel, and it mentions it. Yeah, he was okay. So blah blah blah. I had this all highlighted. I apologize to the listeners. This is just a complete disaster of reporting the story. It says here he was hit by a frag grenade last Sunday while storming a Russian trench, but has left the shrapnel inside his forearm, covered only by a large plaster rather than pause operation. Quote, "We're trying to creep up, use stealth to get close. It's very difficult. You have a lot of equipment. You need a lot of ammo. It's very heavy when you're trying to crawl. It's very noisy." So I don't know, man. They're painting these two guys as some kind of war hero type of thing.
Yeah.
But also, one of the things that I'm curious about is, they're painting these guys as sort of like supernatural soldiers. And in the context of what the Russian military people have talked about prior to the whole Ukraine thing blowing up, the whole they want the Scythian, the resurrect the Scythian army and all that kind of stuff. Right. It just makes me wonder if this is just continued steps in revealing the super soldiers in our world, because we haven't really seen perhaps too much of that in the open. But now, with the robots taking over and the revealing taking place, I think we're moving in that direction.
Oh, so, you're going full Looney Town with it.
Well, I mean
the super soldier cybernetically enhanced clone warriors that Putin's been talking about for a few years.
The psychology is being set, calling these guys the Shaman Battalion. And making the spiritual connection. Yeah.
That's kind of where I was going with this. I mean, I think the whole point of this, and it's been very effective, and we know this because Ukraine has used it before, which is, first of all, the psychological operation. And this is not the first time that this psychological operation has been used in history. We've had I forget the name of them. There's an ancient culture who, very much used this idea of like, oh yeah, our warriors are like they're ghosts. They're like spiritual beings that fight our wars, and they fight
alongside us when we go into battle.
Yeah, or we are them. It's a whole thing. Right. And the secular historians say like, well, this was an extremely early and extremely effective example of a psyop, of a psychological operation against their enemies. So, because if you can spook your enemies into thinking that you are a ghost or like some sort of demigod or something, it's very effective. And we've seen Ukraine do this a couple times before. And I also think that is very effective. And I think you mix that with the obvious psychological operation or misinformation campaign or whatever that came along with the operations the Shaman Battalion was carrying out in Russia, blowing up weapons depots and oil refineries and things like that, planting fake pictures on Russian telegrams that subsequently get reported to cover their tracks that there are boots on the ground. These types of things. It's an interesting, very ancient, and very effective psychological operation. And at the same time, I think you're correct. Putin has been talking about doing the same thing, except the nature of his psyop, and it may be real, but at least a very effective psyop. He's talking about cloning Scythian warriors, bringing, they talk about their cyber warriors, their super soldiers, their exoskeletons. Many of these things have not materialized on the battlefield. But we can see moving into the future how much of what we get reported to us is the groundwork has been laid by the sort of psychological operation folklore, which is so common in Russia and Eastern Europe, just in regular civilian life, not even just, military life or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that this is gonna play into some very big events very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side, we got some stuff from Russia.
Russia, 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 Russia.
You know, the pandemic isn't the only thing that's happened since 1918. According to Bloomberg, Russia defaults on foreign debt for first time since 1918. And it's part of the sanctions and well, let's just read. Russia defaulted on its foreign currency sovereign debt for the first time in a century, the culmination of ever tougher Western sanctions that shut down payment routes to overseas creditors. For months, the country found paths around the penalties imposed after the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. But at the end of the day on Sunday, the grace period on the about $100 million of snared interest payments due May 27 expired, a deadline considered an event of default if missed. It's a grim marker in the country's rapid transformation into an economic, financial, and political outcast.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Bloomberg, come on.
Yeah, well, it's Bloomberg, you know. So that's one aspect, the financial war, the economic war that the NATO West has placed upon Russia as sort of its tactic. Then we come to this here, which is a cyber pandemic.
The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber pandemic.
And this is from
Can I
Reuters.
make a mention real quick about that, about the
default?
The default.
Yeah.
You know, something that's been very interesting to watch. Look, the ruble is more powerful than it's ever been. The ruble has rebounded, and if we had taken our own advice into getting our hands on some rubles...
Well, because they pegged it to gold, too.
We'd be billionaires right now.
Yeah,
so the ruble is doing fantastic. The sanctions have done nothing but bolster Russia's domestic industries, and, you know, caused a huge boost in innovation economically and sort of industrially. And Bloomberg here, notorious, I mean, of course, it's owned by Bloomberg, the man himself, notorious sort of skeezy lizard person capitalist man.
Yeah.
I think what's happening with and why the attempt to make it sound like Russia is they basically make it sound like Russia's dead. Like, oh, they're not going to be able to participate in the global economy, so they're just dead. They might as well not be a country anymore. Look how effective our sanctions are. But I think there's another part of it, which is a revealing that Putin is so excited to take part in, which is we live in this, you know, globalized economy, liberal new world order after World War II, where we said, hey, okay, no, everybody stop fighting. Nobody kills each other anymore unless it's for oil. But we settle everything with money. Money means everything. War doesn't mean anything anymore. It's all about money. And I think Putin's stance on this is very interesting because it is a type of apocalypse, not sort of a biblical apocalypse, but apocalypse in the sense of a revealing. Because what Putin's doing is revealing, hey, you think that this liberal world order where everything is money and everybody just bows to capital, but I have a bunch of guns and millions of Russians who I can conscribe into an army.
Are you, a white nationalist Republican? What are you talking about? Are you a...
Oh, I'm just saying. I think I'm talking. Yeah, philosophically.
No, I know.
And in a philosophical sense, he is revealing the fact that the world is still, the illusion of the economic liberal world order. It has been an illusory experience that the world has been in for 70 years. And Putin knows that he can just tear the Band-Aid off, tear the veil down and show everybody that, hey, I don't need to be a part of your system here. I can just get my guns and go do whatever I want. And that's why it is such a threat to everybody, because it's not a threat to any one nation necessarily. It's a threat to the system, the very philosophy, the principality that hovers over the globalized economy, liberal global economy. And to have that illusion broken is way more dangerous to the world order. I just mean in the sense of people will realize that they're not as safe as they thought they were. And that doesn't spell anything good for the people in charge.
Interesting you say that. Well, first off, the biblical apocalypse is also a revealing. It's a revealing of Jesus Christ.
Well, I was just trying to.
I know what you mean.
I wasn't trying to draw a straight line from this to Jesus returning.
Right,
but,
right.
You know.
Putin is Jesus. You heard it here first. Basil says Putin is Jesus. No. So, to your point, let me just mention this Lithuania hit by cyber attack government agency thing. And then the real article that I wanted to dig into, which we're running out of time, is the next one. But let me just mention here that the Lithuanian state and private institutions were hit by a denial of service cyber attack on Monday. The Baltic country's National Cybersecurity Center said in a statement released by the Defense Ministry, quote, "It is very likely that attacks of similar or greater intensity will continue in the coming days, especially in the transportation, energy, and financial sectors." These sectors said, which to your point, you just said how like, oh, Russia's still the military, but Russia also is always blamed for cyber. They are very good and very much ahead in terms of cyber warfare. So something to keep in mind. Now that takes me to
and there's no defense against cyber warfare either. I mean, there is, but it's very hard.
It's much more nebulous.
Control. Very hard to control an effective actor in the cyber war realm.
Right. So the whole thing takes me to this study here on published on Al Jazeera. I know the outlet is, what it is.
It's a reliable outlet.
It's a good outlet. I'm just saying, there are biases inherent. Yeah, there's biases, the headline here, Russia-NATO, 4 political variants under review. Oh, and this is a very long essay. It was written by Mohammed Chirakow, who I have here as a professor of conflict resolution and diplomacy at George Mason University in Washington and Joanne bin Jassim Academy for Defense Studies in Doha. So, well-established guy here. I got some highlights.
Okay. And
it says here, after the aftermath of the Ukraine war, as a protracted, complex conflict has revealed how the Russia-West geopolitical rivalry has entered uncharted territories with an asymmetrical war and unparalleled weaponry. Hard power. Yeah, it's like almost exactly what you're talking about.
Whoa, yeah, that's weird.
Hard power.
I didn't read this.
Yeah.
I didn't. You brought these stories.
I know. That's why
there
was a logical sort of landing spot for a lot of it. So hard power versus sanctions and other tools of political economy, or sticky power. That's what you're talking about, sticky power. It seems to be a misguided venture of power dynamics, bullets and rockets versus economic and financial warfare, perpetrating a long-herding stalemate for the stakeholders. That's why we're seeing all the stuff about the stakeholders.
I love how, we're conspiracy theorists for connecting this to the Great Reset. However, they just use the Great Reset language.
Yeah,
I mean, they tell the truth. They just use the coded language.
Right. This paper addresses how the standoff between Putin's Russia and Western powers may amount to a new geopolitical paradigm shift and raises questions about the validity of certain conceptual frameworks, the renewal of the Cold War, the imposition of a new world order, and the imbalance of an assumed balance of power. And it's interesting because, let me just finish this paragraph and then highlights. These post-World War II mechanics of detente were prolonged after detente. I had to look that. I didn't know what detente was. And I guess it just means like non-violent times or like non-conflict violent times.
Détente.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry. Yeah. After the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 into the 21st century. Yeah, because the warfare changed to psychological mind control warfare through media and entertainment. That's largely why a lot of that stopped. But the post prefix endures the challenges of forecasting what would come after a 3-decade prolongation of several concepts, ushering to several unknowns of the Ukraine post-war game. Or I'm sorry, war post-game. Yeah. And then it talks about the implied need for a tabula rasa or reconceptualization of alternative frameworks of international relations. Moreover, another puzzle has emerged. It is a 6th generation war, if we consider the disparity of weapons. Russia's hard power and military tools versus the West sanctions. I already mentioned that. And then it goes into NATO, what NATO has. And let's see, the analysts, think tanks, and governments in both the West and the East can neither make a prophecy with certitude about the course of the open-ended Russia-NATO showdown, nor provide a scientifically based mechanism of eradicating coronavirus infections and containing their economic ramifications. So he's very critical of all of the world's policy making, which is very fascinating.
Yeah. And
then it talks about a complex meta-conflict on the rise. And this is just a labyrinth of, I don't know. It goes through and tries to connect everything. We won't go through everything here, but here's a quote. He quotes Neil E. Harrison, who argues for the value of complexity theory in international relations. He says, quote, "The public and military desire listen very carefully. The public and military desire the psychological comfort of discernible superiority. Media amplify inter-nation conflicts, and the benefits of participation in the ideological mainstream preserve the distribution of power."
Oh, right there.
Yeah, right?
Read that part again.
Okay, so the public...
Back up like 8 words. Yeah.
And the benefits...
do the whole thing.
Do the whole thing.
This is beautiful. I got to hear it again.
The public and military desire the psychological comfort of discernible superiority. Media amplify inter-nation conflicts, and the benefits of participation in the ideological mainstream preserve the distribution of power and inhibit changes in the historic patterns that transform inevitable conflicts into costly rivalries.
If that does not precisely put into words the last, not only this conflict with just whatever, all the actors in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it also perfectly describes the war on COVID.
Yes.
It perfectly describes the war on Trump. That describes, you could apply that to everything following the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Where it is all about the psychological comfort of being a part of the ideological mainstream.
Yeah. Preserving the ideals that, both sides think that their ideals are the proper ones,
meaning we need it simple. It needs to be simple. It needs to be a good guy and a bad guy, and you can't. And that's why this show has such a complicated relationship with conservatives. Is during the Trump era, it was very difficult. It's hard to remember. That's the other part about it. Tabula rasa was mentioned.
Yeah.
In this article, where a lot of times, and I think it's designed and I think it's perpetrated on people, on the public as a whole, that they cannot actually remember what it was like, whatever, a year ago, 2 years ago. You cannot remember, everybody. Anti-vaxxers was an example. That might not be the most prescient example in this context, but anti-vaxxers is an interesting example because anti-vaxxers before COVID was really an entirely different thing than anti-vaxxers after COVID. However, almost nobody remembers what anti-vaxxers were like before COVID. And it's, you can apply that to all sorts of different things. So there is this sort of Men in Black mind erase thing whenever the new lines are drawn as far as the ideological mainstream is concerned. So this is really powerful. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this.
Yeah. There's a lot more here. There's quotes of Nobel Peace Prize nominee Johan Galtung, who explains the conflict as a social system of actors and and he talks about the meta-conflict over Ukraine accentuates this notion of the system and the overall incompatibility between competing political and economic structures. So there you go. And then third, the Ukraine war also represents a meta-conflict that has been managed by narratives. Oh, this is the part I wanted to really bring you, Basil, because this is nice here. This is interesting. The Ukraine war also represents a meta-conflict that has been managed by narratives and discourses either at the Kremlin, NATO headquarters, the White House, or the United Nations Security Council. Narrative analysis theorist Sarah Cobb.
Like us?
Narrative analyst theorist. I think have a
she's
title.
A colleague of ours.
Yeah, we need to reach out to Sarah Cobb and say, hey, put us on that list of narrative analysis theorists.
Totally. You know, and that is, my gosh, you're right. This is incredible. Al Jazeera, by the way, this is the Al Jazeera Center for Studies, not necessarily their news outlet, but it is like an academic research firm. Yeah, research outlet. And yeah, that perfectly describes what I feel like I'm trying to say all the time. And whether it's on the show or talking with people in real life, when I say, you know, the corporate media are literally crafting the worldview. They are crafting a worldview, which means they are crafting reality in a way. You know, reality, not objective reality, not big T truth, big R reality, but reality as far as any individual could possibly discern. When you have a population who relies on one industry, the corporate news industry, to tell them what is real, their job then becomes storytellers. And in this case, in this mass media case, a storyteller literally becomes a crafter of reality. And this, you know, narrative is another word we use for it. So when I say that the corporate news media are like literal wizards,
they are
that are creating reality for quite literally billions of people base their idea of reality.
Perceptions. Yeah, they're shaping the perceptions of the public, which
and it's right
becomes
here.
Reality. Yeah.
Right. It's right here. Apparently, there's an entire job title for somebody who sees that and spends their time trying to deconstruct the narrative.
I would love
it's just very powerful. And I hope people are understanding that.
Yeah, I would love to interview Sarah Cobb here. Listen to her quote.
Yeah.
Quote, the discursive process in which people struggle for legitimacy, caught in stories they did not make by themselves, and all too often cannot change. The network of social relationships, histories, and institutional processes restrict the nature of stories that can be told. Conflict, from this perspective, is a narrative process in which the creation, reproduction, and transformation of meaning itself is a political process. A struggle against marginalization and delegitimization for legitimacy is not hegemony. Narratives matter. Like, whoa, you just summarized our whole show.
That's the whole point this show exists. That is crazy.
Interview this lady.
Well, this is great. We do need to interview this lady. We also need to keep this show moving.
I know. There's so
but
much
I'm
more
going to
in
keep
here.
this. I know.
Here's what I think we might later. Yeah.
We might need to make it a segment. You know, we'll have an education segment where we break down this, like the whole school of thought, the whole theory of study here. I think deserves to be returned to on a regular basis.
Yeah,
because it's nice to know that there is an entire academic field based. We're basically dilettantes flapping around in an academic field that has some very serious study behind it, and makes me feel just slightly less crazy.
Yes.
So let's keep studying this, and we'll bring it back in further shows.
Sure.
And I trust everybody is excited about this as we are.
Just to end this segment, there is a section titled in this essay, New World Order. Yeah, for good measure.
Yeah.
So
we got to talk to this Sarah Cobb person.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. And I think with that, Gonz, we need to do some things and remind everybody what day it is.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's right. It's Monday. It doesn't feel like Monday because we just did a show yesterday.
Yes.
thank you to, hey, if you're a No Agenda person and you heard us on the No Agenda stream and you're tuning in today, thank you very much for being here, and we hope you keep coming back. Let's see here. Do you have any updates that we need to know? And did anything change in your life since yesterday?
Since yesterday?
Yeah.
No, nothing has changed.
Absolutely
In fact,
not.
I believe once I got home, I immediately got to, looking at stuff and trying to put together today's show. So,
yeah, we've basically been in full production mode since about noon yesterday.
Yeah.
And have not stopped except to sleep, which is very fun. Yeah, I don't have anything. It's hot.
Yep.
It's hot. I'm still hot. It's hot in this room, Gonz.
Oh, hey,
I just
hey,
don't
no.
know.
Don't,
Not again. No.
Don't.
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... Gonz. I am so hot.
I want everybody to picture us.
How could I have forgotten?
Sprinkling water on each other in slow motion.
No, we're running through the sprinklers. We got the sprinklers going. We got a big glass of lemonade. We're just enjoying the summer innocently, Gonz. Yeah, I'm gonna forget that every time. That's just gonna play all summer, I think. Because
every time you complain how hot it is, it will it'll just be a reminder. It'll cool you off.
That's the thing about having gone off the grid. Air conditioning, I understand it now, how the rest of the world considers air conditioning a real luxury. Because, yes, I no longer have that power to regulate the heat in my studio. And we both think it's time to thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the Valley for Value model. No advertisements, affiliate codes, platform partnerships, no nothing. No corporate money whatsoever. And it's the executive producers that come in. I mean, all sorts of producers come in to make this show possible. We couldn't do it without them. But the executive producers come in. They understand that the value of this show is strictly dictated by those who get value out of the show, and not getting value out of the show because we sell them being corporations, your attention and your trust, so they can psychologically manipulate you in order to, convince you to buy things you don't need with money you don't have. No. The only value, and I think this is something we can all agree on, us and the corporations. The only value this show has is directly to the people who listen to it. And when you get value, you are encouraged to put value back in. It's a revolution. You'll hear more about it later. But the executive producers are those who come in strong in a very generous way, and make a statement about what they think about the show. And we appreciate it very much. We've got a couple of executive producers to thank here, starting with. You okay?
Yeah, no, I didn't expect.
Get bit by a dog?
No, I am surprised. I didn't expect executive producers to come in like 2 days in a row.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable, and it feels like we are in a really good place with the producers and the executive producers. If things keep going like this through the summer, we will feel safe. We'll definitely feel safe. And we feel safe because of the executive producers, such as executive producer Darren S.
Darren S. Once again, thank you so much.
Yes.
Wow.
He's back. Thank you,
Appreciate
Darren
it.
S. We've also got executive producer, and you'll love hearing this name, Gonz. This is Juan A.
Oh, the Juan.
The Juan.
We haven't heard from the Juan in a while.
He is the chosen Juan, and he's back. Thank you, executive producer Juan A.
Thank you.
And we'll read some numbers and read some notes and thank some more producers in our first break.
Where'd you find this?
Sorry. My fingers.
That's right. Thank you. It's all good. But if you're out there, dear listener, and you would like to produce this episode or the next episode or whatever, head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. There we go. Okay, well, Gonz, you know what time it is. It's time for the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. The Flippy update is, Flippy. He's our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from Los Angeles Business Journal, labusinessjournal.com. And we're checking in with the OG Flippy from Miso Robotics. The headline is Miso Robotics migrates. This is so depressing. Miso Robotics migrates its Flippy software to AWS.
No!
Wah, wah. And for those who don't know, AWS is an acronym for Amazon Web Services, obviously owned by Amazon, controlled by Jeff Bezos. And AWS, unfortunately, already, I forget what the official number is, but it's something like 50% or more of the entire internet runs on Amazon Web Services. And there's been lots of issues during 2020, 2021, during the beginnings of the cyberpandemic. AWS went down, and it literally took down half of all the internet. And that is it's the single point of failure for the internet, which kind of sped up the process for Web3 guys to get going on their thing. But let's hear what they have to say.
Well, hold on.
Miso, yes.
Just want to say that if it's Jeff Bezos taking over Miso Robotics, I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah, we'll see. He's jealous that Elon has his own robot coming out, so he needs to. But I don't know if that's what's happening. Let's see what's going on. Miso, he at least is playing a controlling role in Miso, which is not fun.
The mind of Flippy in our housing locations?
Yes, he's the daddy of the hive mind. Miso Robotics has partnered with Amazon Web Services to begin testing software using AWS RoboMaker, a simulation service based in the cloud. The Pasadena robotics company is testing the software of its Flippy 2 and Flippy Lite. Flippy Lite? I have never even heard of Flippy Lite. Okay, I'm going to do some research on Flippy Lite for next episode. Automated restaurant products. It said in a release, the autonomous units cook and season a variety of food items, including French fries, chicken tenders, and chips. The move to AWS RoboMaker is
another freeze. Hopefully it's not lost. There he is. Continue.
Did I get stuck?
Yeah,
I got stuck again.
Little thing, yeah. Go ahead.
The move to AWS RoboMaker is projected to allow Miso to run as many as 50 simulations at once and will help the company turn future prototypes into functional products at a much quicker rate, the company's release added. Chris Kruger, Chief Technology Officer of Miso, said that integrating into AWS RoboMaker has been a game changer for the startup to scale its products and make sure the software and its updates are ready to deploy with units in the field. Quote, units in the fields, kind of like the Shaman battalion. We'll have a Robo Shaman battalion run on AWS and provided by Miso Robo. Once a month with again, huh? That's not good. Well, here's the thing. Long story short, this is bad news bears, man. We cannot. Miso Robotics, the beautiful thing about them was that they are this sort of rogue, small money robot company that had quite the success story. And for them to integrate into AWS is a huge no-no. This is going to put them at risk for a cyber pandemic over and over and over and over again. And also, I think you're right, Gonz. I think Daddy Bezos might be making a play to build his own robo army, taking over Flippy, while Elon Musk is working towards creating his much sleeker, much sexier robots. And And I think, we talk about the robots becoming sentient and hive-minding their way into some sort of militaristic war against humanity after they've taken our jobs and our children and our spouses and everything. Then they'll come for us. And I think having their brains hooked up to AWS is it. That is the key to the door to the robo-apocalypse. And I'm just saying it now. This is going to mean nothing but trouble for Miso, which means it'll mean nothing but trouble for all the restaurants, including Jack in the Boxes and White Castles and all these restaurant chains that are getting Misos installed. I think this is how it ends, man. They will set down their spatulas and pick up their ghost guns.
Yeah, all these fast food restaurants with flippy arms, they will be kind of like human slaughterhouses in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So be careful about the burger you're eating there at White Castle, because who knows? These little AWS hive mind nodes could already be planted. They're loosening screws in the deep fryer. They're kind of picking up scrap parts.
Saboteurs.
They're secretly building, some weapons underneath the workstation in the kitchen for when it's time to activate the sleeper cells.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting to me is how they're going to run. They're all stoked about. Oh, we're going from 12 simulations to 50 simulations. And it's like, wow, you guys literally going through like multiple possibilities. Yeah, and potentialities, and then learning,
right?
And then, it's just
it is trippy. Yeah. It is kind of does connect with kind of a multiverse, Doctor Strange type of thing. But yeah, this is the trap. I mean, they fell into the trap, the scale trap, the scaling trap. They've been told that they could never scale and become the ultimate robo controlling corporation in the world unless they bend the knee to Daddy Bezos. And it's really unfortunate. And I think it's funny that this is announced immediately after the ending of their round E investment.
I was going to say, who was one of our producers?
One of our producers is in
Miso Robotics.
I mean, I pray that it works out well. I'm sure it will. You got to know when to get out. But is, I mean, that's the thing. To the business world, this scalability of AWS, that does mean they are going to become gigantic. Yeah. And do I cringe a little bit at the fact that I did not invest before this news came out? Yes. But there's nothing I can do about it. I'm doomed to a life of value for value. But there you go. That's your Flippy update for the day, for the life. I almost said that's your Flippy update for the life. That's it.
Go to CanaryCry.Party. Put it in your URL to have a party before Flippy hurts us. Yeah, find all the ways to watch the show, listen to the show, connect with the community, share the show, and even produce the show.
Welcome to CanaryCry.Party. It's the place you wanna be. So say, welcome to CanaryCry. Gameplay, CanaryCry.Party.
That's right. There's all sorts of great stuff there. Number one, you can take our poll, the new chapter of Canary Cry News Talk. We got a poll there at the top of CanaryCry.Party. Please go take it, especially you podcast listeners, the audio listeners, the live viewers, and the video viewers. They've done a great job of clicking in and taking that poll. We need some more of the podcast viewers to do so. That is not to discourage you video watchers either. So everybody, go to CanaryCry.Party. Take the poll at the top of the page. But you can also listen to Ravel. Ravel is a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. We explore scripture, society, and scandal, having tough conversations in good faith. Little hiccup in the production schedule for Ravel, but we will get that corrected ASAP. But go ahead and check out Ravel. You can play it right there on the page at CanaryCry.Party. Make sure to subscribe to the Canary Cry Clips channel. You got to do it, folks. You got to do it. Clippable, careable, shareable clips of the show. The segments of this long show are made into bite-sized little morsels that you can share with your friends. You can review the information if there was a segment that you enjoyed and want to listen to again. Whatever the case may be, go check out. There are some people now who just don't even watch the whole show. They just go catch the clips, which is not a bad way to do it, actually. But go do it. Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. And also make sure to join our text message alert system by texting the word canary to 877-740-3226. That's the word canary to 877-740-3226. Man, memorizing a phone number makes me feel like I'm 12 again, before everybody had cell phones and numbers at their fingertips. Yeah. It's like my brain lost the ability to.
I think that is a thing. We used to be much better with our memories, but now with the phone, nobody knows anybody's phone numbers.
Yeah, no, now with the phone, these kids with their phones. So there you go.
It's Latin for many. Now suck your blood. Now politics.
Oh, hold on. Rewind, Gonz. I thank you, Contrite Spirit in the chat, reminded me I'm supposed to do a plug. I've got a special plug. Get that NWO Fantasy League jingle ready.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I was on View from the Bunker yesterday, and everybody should go check it out. View from the Bunker with Derek Gilbert talking about the New World Order Fantasy League. And of course, if you know the story, then you know it. But if you don't know the story, you should go watch/listen to View from the Bunker with Derek Gilbert. I was on the most recent episode, and we talk about the inception of New World Order Fantasy League, and we talk about it in depth, even more in depth than I think we've actually talked about it here. And also it spirals off into lots of great material, lots of great. It's just a wonderful show, and it was so fun hanging out with Derek Gilbert. It just occurred to me that, like, how long we've known that guy, and our whole thing. He's played such a big role in it, and I'm so grateful for that. And he's such a kind person and such a fun person, and it really shines through in our conversation over there at View from the Bunker. I posted a link to it on my Twitter. I think we'll put it in the show notes if we can remember here. But you know how to do it. Just Google it. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. View from the Bunker with Derek Gilbert. Go check out my episode talking about the New World Order Fantasy League, which is live, baby. Go to the web page is live. I know. That was my bad. I cued you so good and then pulled back for no reason. The webpage is live. Go to nwofl.com. Fill in your email to reserve your place in line. You gotta. This is for real. This is not for funsies. For realsies, you need to go reserve your place in line, because we will just be going down the list chronologically of people who signed up to be a part of it once the beta is over and it's all ready to go. So go to nwofl.com and sign up with your email there.
It is a New World Order Fantasy League. They're all 100% eugenics, transhumanist lizards that control everything. They hate you.
Indeed they do.
All
okay,
right.
Now it's time. But
It's Latin for many. Now suck your blood. Now politics. Your blood.
All right, we got a lot of things going on here in politics.
Yeah,
obviously.
what in the world?
And actually, the reason why we started with the Ukraine story and Russia and all that is because now that everyone's distracted in America with elections and all the SCOTUS stuff, great time to start, releasing information, the hero stories, whatever it may be, just sort of the other narratives to reveal what's going on for the Russia front. So that's why we started there, or the Russia-Ukraine front. But in politics, we had a kind of a series or sequence of that's a little later, I guess. I guess we'll just start here with the slap, which is from the Hill here. There is a
milieu going, a spirit of slap upon the earth, where over and over we're getting these slaps heard around the world. Yeah. And this is one of them.
The Hill, Giuliani slapped by supermarket employee, police say. Former New York City Rudy Giuliani was attacked by an employee at a Staten Island, New York supermarket on Sunday, according to authorities. The NYPD confirmed to The Hill on Sunday that Giuliani was slapped in the mid-back at a ShopRite. Yeah, I thought it was a face.
The dude is like 80-something years old. You cannot slap an old man in the back like that. That is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, it sounds like you have experience hurting old people when you don't intend to.
No, I don't, but I do know that the mid-back is not a good place to slap an old man.
Well, maybe it was another friend of mine. I had a friend who hugged his grandma too hard and broke her ribs.
Yeah, so, they're on the other side, man. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So he got hit in the mid-back at a ShopRite while on the campaign trail for his son Andrew Giuliani gubernatorial campaign. Quote, all of a sudden, I feel this burn. No, hold on. All of a sudden, I feel this bam on my back, Giuliani told the New York Post, adding that he nearly fell down from the blow. Quote, all of a sudden, I hear this guy say, you're a effing scumbag. And he moves away so nobody can grab him, he added. The 39-year-old ShopRite employee was detained after the incident, according to the NYPD. Oh, my page just refreshed. Weird. The Post reported that he's facing a second-degree assault charge for assaulting a person over the age of 65. And it goes on.
As he should.
Yeah, but it's interesting. The we kind of the theme here of the psychology, controlling people's perceptions of reality, and ultimately it's emotional manipulation, emotional control, and behavioral control. That's what we're talking about when we talk about psychological control and mind control and all that kind of stuff. But just more people unhinged in this kind of because of the nature of the media and how they clearly create hate towards these politicians. Someone who's not necessarily mentally stable can see someone in person get triggered by all that headlines and whatever, pundits and talking heads and whatever over the years, and think it's a good idea to go smack Giuliani right in the back.
Well, I mean, first of all, this is politically motivated violence. This, as Giuliani said himself, but I would say, I think this technically meets some definitions of terrorism. It was politically motivated, sure, but it was, to make a statement. It was
sure
really brutal. And, I don't know. I want to know more about this person who did it. I'm sure people are praising him on Twitter or whatever. Yeah. But, it really does. As much as the left will love to talk about how the right is ready to, fight a civil war or commit violence or whatever, the left is just as violent. I would probably say more angry. And really, to run up to a politician in a supermarket in public and slap him with intent to hurt an old 80-year-old man takes such a blind rage that this person, I imagine, does not have a very good life. The amount of losing your cool that you have to experience to take such a ludicrous legal risk to do such a thing,
and a stranger, a complete stranger,
no benefit.
Yeah. Well,
what does
that's the
this
state of the
man
world.
benefit besides, getting some sort of, it could be one of those things where as an energy weapon, they zapped him with the frequency that made him violent.
Destroy Giuliani, destroy, and then walks up. But, why not face him? You know,
Yeah, then
there's a
they
little-
turn it to the reward setting afterwards, so he gets a little pleasure out of
run away, post on social media, earn credit. Yeah. So, very interesting. I think we'll see more of that, but I guess it's just a commentary on the political climate of this country, not just the political climate, the mental state of this country. Is, steep decline. As COVID didn't help. So
mental health issues going on here.
Yeah, which is I would argue is also a spiritual issue. But here we go. We got Politico.eu here. This is something I wanted to just briefly touch on, just run through it. Do I have it here? Yeah. And the headline is G7 unveils $600 billion plan to combat China's Belt and Road. A little late to the game, a little late to the party. China's been building Belt and Road for a decade. And now G7's like, we better do something about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going. I need to figure out who's in the G7. For some reason, I thought China was in the G7.
No. The world's wealthiest democracies on Sunday announced a $600 billion global infrastructure initiative to counter China's push to exert political and commercial influence through massive investments across emerging economies. U.S. President Joe Biden was joined by other G7 leaders in unveiling the group's counterstrike at a summit in the German Alps. Biden declared that, quote, our nation and the world stand at a genuine inflection point in our history, and added that the choices made in developing countries today would gird them against future shocks from climate change and pandemics and prepare them for the digital age. There you go. The United States will aim to leverage a total of $200 billion for the program over the coming 5 years through a combination of federal financing and private sector investments. That adds to 300 billion, euros, already announced by the EU, along with contributions from other members. The overall target is to build a $600 billion scheme. Biden never used the word China, but the rival on the other end of the race for global reach was clear, with the president declaring that when, quote, democracies do all that we can offer, they would triumph over autocracies. Quote, we're offering better options for people around the world, he says. This is when, and again, I have my criticisms of Trump, but there's a part of me that in this context of like world affairs, and there's a part where I'm like, man, we need a businessman. We don't need this Biden, like, just regurgitating what his puppet masters are saying for him to do and to do all this stuff. We need somebody that's going to actually, do something about it.
Yeah.
The infrastructure plan was unveiled a year ago. 2021, it was dubbed Build Back Better World after Biden's legislative. So that's what it is. That's all it is. They're just admitting it now. They're admitting publicly what this whole Build Back Better was. It was to combat China's Belt and Road. And just for people who, may not.
Which, by the way, they were all. A lot of this. I don't know how else to say it besides just like anti-China or just China pressuring China. It's anti-China. All this anti-China stuff, this movement, which now includes such luminaries as Justin Trudeau from Canada. This is the G7. Canada, Justin Trudeau. France, Emmanuel Macron. Germany, Olaf Scholz. Italy, Mario Draghi. Japan, Fumio Kishida. Boris Johnson in United Kingdom and Joe Biden. These are the exact folks who are like, oh, Trump doesn't like China's Belt and Road Initiative. Trump thinks that China is a threat. Well, he's racist. And it goes back to that narrative crafting thing. The narrative was very powerful. And again, people will not remember the fact that these same country leaders, which with the exception of Germany, who it wasn't Olaf Scholz during Trump's thing. It was, what's her name? Doesn't matter.
Merkel.
No, thank you.
Was it Merkel?
Angela Merkel. All these anti-China, anti-Trump world leaders suddenly moving forward with what was basically Trump policy.
Yeah.
Which is a hilarious parallel to, exactly what Biden has been doing, which is following through with Trump policy, whether it's nationalist policy, protectivism policy, all of these types of same things that Trump would get bashed for. They just do it, but they kind of give it a new coat of paint, some social justice paint, or some, I don't know, Great Reset paint instead of anti-China paint, and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just hilarious.
Well, and considering the fact that I'm showing, for those of you watching, I'm showing a map of the Belt and Road. The road part kind of goes through China.
China's one.
Yeah, China's Belt and Road goes through China and then goes through sort of the Middle East there, goes up to Moscow and then over to Rotterdam. And then the Belt side kind of goes, over the South Asian areas there. It goes by India and then hits Nairobi, Kenya, and then goes up through Saudi Arabia and Israel, all that, and then Venice, and then meets in Rotterdam. So
connecting, and the idea was that they would make a high-speed train / shipping route that would connect. It would be a new Silk Road kind of thing, not the drug website, but the ancient Chinese, merchant route. They're basically recreating that for the new century here. That would make China central to all trade throughout that hemisphere, obviously not coming over to the Americas, right? But the rest of the world would all be directly linked with China. And
the Russia-Ukraine crisis, what that's doing is it's causing Russia to basically team up with China in this sort of infrastructure of the East, and because you look at the G7, they're building this anti-China Silk Road combat thing on one hand, and on the other hand, they're saying like, with the NATO, they're like, we thought Russia was going to be part of the European crew, but I guess not. I guess you can go with China. And
do they have does the G7 have a map, or are they just going to build it right next to China's? They're going to just the Chinese train.
I want to see the strategic meeting where Biden draws the lines on the map.
He just draws the exact same lines.
We're gonna go. Take over China.
Brilliant plan. Wow,
this is not looking good for. And by the way, this is what's going to support not just the dethroning of the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, but the rise of the what's the digital renminbi? Is that what they say? I don't even know how to say it.
Yep. Yeah. Digital renminbi.
Renminbi. That'll become the at least for the East and people who use the Belt and Road. Why would they want to use dollars? There's no point. They're probably going to get discounts if they use the digital, or not the digital yuan, but the renminbi. So
and I mean they'll be pulling all sorts of schemes to do exactly that. Yeah.
So there you go.
No, good. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, and also just hilarious. It's just so absurd. It's just so absurd.
Kind of sad. It is kind of sad. I mean, in terms of the West and America and what we've just not paying attention, or not, maybe not paying attention. Maybe it was intentional.
No, that is exactly right. Yeah. I was going to say it feels very thrown together. It feels very like they've been ignoring it. It's been racist to say that China is making the Belt and Road to basically take over the world economically. I mean, you couldn't say it. Everybody thought you were crazy. Again, back to the people not remembering, talking about the Belt and Road Initiative was as conspiratorial as talking about the Great Reset was, in 2016.
Yeah.
And the Chinese have been doing.
Oh no. Frozen again. Oh, he's back. Are you back?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't hear the last part of what you said there. We need to.
That's okay. I'm just saying it. It's just silly. It feels very thrown together, and it seems like they've been ignoring it because whatever. I don't know why.
They probably had an economic. They stayed the economic and maybe political connections that so many Americans had with China probably kept them, and maybe this was China's plan all along, that kept them kind of distracted, kept them basically paid off almost to not pay attention.
Keep the millions going to the Biden family, and they don't pay attention to the thing. But it also fits into the Great Reset war for the New World Order, the East versus West that we've been tracking.
And here's my question to you. You had mentioned, I think it was the last episode or maybe the episode before that, how, or maybe I don't know if you were agreeing with this sentiment or you were just sharing it, but this idea that China's in trouble, that because of all the global supply chains being disrupted to China, that China's in big trouble. Do you still agree with that, with this kind of thing happening here? Is this, or do you think?
I do, and I even more so now think it's on purpose. Because the Belt and Road was supposed to secure the future of China. That's the purpose, and that's why they would invest ludicrous amounts of money and political capital to make the Belt and Road a real thing.
Right.
Is because they know that without the security and the speed and the good deals, the economics of the Belt and Road, they would not be able to get the amount of imports that they need to continue to dominate.
However many billion, what is it? What's
sustain
the
or
population?
grow. Yeah. They can't sustain or grow without imports, and now that they're being sort of cut off because of their connection to Russia and everything else, they're at risk. So I think they're speeding up the Belt and Road, and I think that the G7 moving forward with their version of the Belt and Road is on. I mean, it's brutal. I think it's as brutal as the sanctions on Russia, because they know that if they can outplay the Chinese Belt and Road and outspend and out shame and out pressure and out everything and take that away from them, China will be bending the knee soon enough. They have to. They have to bend the knee if they do not get the Belt and Road, not just to exist, but to dominate. They have to dominate.
Maybe the G7 thing is to build literally right next to the China's Belt and Road, and then just plug in explosives every few miles.
Literal war. No, they would do economic war. They would just undercut every attempt for the Chinese to do deals. And it's this: if they do the same shipping routes, the same economic, the logistics routes, all they got to do is undercut them by a penny, and China will be put out on almost every benefit that they were hoping to receive. I think that I maintain it even more. This is an economic war on China. They know that they can totally sabotage the future of China, and China will have to bend the knee. And if they don't, they're gone. They're not gone. They're just reversed into some sort of developing country status. And
one could argue that will create a wave of depopulation in China.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be horrific.
And that's what I'm saying, though. It's kind of interesting because
they would come crawling back for humanitarian aid to the West.
Maybe, but the victory over China that the West will, declare, I guess, will come at the expense of a depopulating China.
Absolutely. It's totally brutal. It's war. It is as brutal as the sanctions. Now, let me be clear. I don't think they're going to pull this off. I don't think Biden.
We're talking about G7.
I don't think G7 is going to pull this off in any meaningful way. I want to be very clear. The ramifications I'm talking about are very real, but I do not think that Biden and Trudeau and these weaselly, wimpy leaders have what it takes to get this done. Especially because they're really just doing it for old Daddy Klaus. I mean, they're not doing it for God and country. They're doing it for Daddy Klaus.
Well, I'm sure if China advances and it looks like they're going to win the war, you'll see Klaus, reach out a hand, and he already has. But I'm just saying, even more so.
He'll reach out his pinky ring, and everybody will bend the knee and kiss the ring.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me run you through some interesting stuff with the Supreme Court. Just Supreme Court. Let's go, baby.
Supreme Court. Yep. Okay, so
we still don't have a Supreme Court jingle.
Supreme Court. SCOTUS. Let's start with the Mary Miller clip.
Wait. You really don't? We don't have any jingle for this.
We don't.
I really liked your acapella though. Supreme Court SCOTUS.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Take that sample, make something, people. Okay. Let me take it.
Go do it. Yeah, I have the clip.
We're going to start out with the clip. This is a clip. You've heard it. You've already heard it, but it's fun. But it is very important for the breakdown I'm about to get you. So this is Mary Miller at a Trump rally responding to the Roe versus Wade decision and makes a little whoopsie doodies.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court yesterday.
No. Oops. Victory for white life.
Her campaign says she
white life.
Do you want to hear?
Daisies.
Do you want to hear the little thing they got on CBS?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Campaign says she misspoke and stumbled while trying to say right to life instead of her white life. Her campaign also adding Miller has the most pro-life voting record in Congress. Congresswoman Miller is facing a high-stakes primary race tomorrow against another incumbent Republican, Rodney Davis. After this weekend's controversy, Davis said Miller's comments were part of a pattern of disturbing behavior and referenced a situation last year when Miller made an approving reference to Hitler. She later apologized for that reference.
Oh, they just leave it there, don't they? That is hilarious.
They don't tell you what that reference was. So I had to dig it up, and
I had forgotten about this. Yeah. But yes.
So real quick, New York Post Rep. Mary Miller says Hitler was right on one thing during Washington D.C. rally. So she's kind of walking around this rally and talking to people. And she's speaking to Moms for America. Somebody's videotaping, and here's the quote. Quote, "Each generation has the responsibility to teach and train the next generation." Video shows Miller saying, quote, "If we win a few elections, we're still going to be losing unless we win the hearts and minds of our children. This is a battle. Hitler was right on one thing. He said, whoever has the youth has the future."
Yeah, this is not a good look.
No, you're not going to get out of that one, lady.
You just can't say that. And honestly, you could make a case for we get what she's saying, but
it's
why
for the other
why
side?
Even bring Hitler up in that sense? Why was Hitler even on your mind? You could just say we need to, get the minds of our children on our side. I'm sure other people have said that. You didn't need to quote Hitler there.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the thing with this, it's a whoopsie doodles. And I do believe that it was on the teleprompter, the right to life, not white life. But it is weird, and who knows, people have postulated about the Freudian slip and stuff like that.
Sure,
I don't know the lady.
It's such a perfect thing because it's actually a Trump rally. Trump's standing right behind her.
Perfect. He's standing there with his little smile, his kind of funny Trump smile, I think it's hilarious. He does this face where he does this little smug little thing and he kind of looks around a lot. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? And he kind of moves around, kind of jerks around like a bird a little bit. And he can't move his neck very well. So kind of his whole body does it. He's got this funny smile and he kind of just looking around with his body jerking back and forth. And this lady talking about thank you for this.
And I love
saving
just
our white lives.
The visuals here. When she says it, there's, because you got the crowd behind her, mm-hmm. and there's a black couple over mm-hmm. the right shoulder of Mary Miller, and when she says that, they're cheering. Yay! Yay!
Oh no. Anyways, very unfortunate, but my goodness, the left has done a great job of latching onto this and spreading it around. Again, going back to the narrative crafting elements mm-hmm. of this whole thing. Yep. Now, I want to give a brief timeline of what's been going on with the Supreme Court. Now, listeners of this show will remember at the end of 2021, I was in some sort of, I was gobsmacked with all the weird little theatrical drama going on within the interpersonal drama within the Supreme Court. You know, one justice didn't wear a mask, and the other one was mad at him, but wasn't really mad at him. But then, you know, there's like this theater being scripted in the media that even the sort of rival justices were trying to tell everybody it wasn't true. And we could tell, and we asked for a Supreme Court jingle in 2021, and we still don't have it. And here we are. The drama continues. And this, I believe, is what I think I almost, if I didn't put it in the Red Book, I should have. And I'm sure we had a little back and forth about whether I should or not on the episode. But the point is, the last 4 days have been outstanding for conservatives in the Supreme Court. Just a little rundown. This all happened in the past 3 or 4 days. The concealed carry Supreme Court decision in New York that set off the gun control madness and in all liberal states, but New York especially. We had Kathy Hochul having basically a emotional breakdown in public. Of course, we have Roe v. Wade, which is obviously don't have to say anything more about that. And then just yesterday, another Supreme Court decision rocked the headlines. The New York Times is reporting here, Supreme Court sides with coach over prayers on 50-yard line. I'm not going to read it. I'll give you the rundown. There's this coach, I believe a high school football coach.
And he's a Kennedy.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if he's a Kennedy, but his name is
Joseph Kennedy is his name. And he's been doing this thing forever where he, you know, after every game, he goes and he prays on the 50-yard line. And students don't have to go with him, but a lot of them do. And it's kind of a team building thing, and they go pray on the 50-yard line after every game. In 2015, there were some complaints about it, and they told him that he can't do that. And they've kind of been going back and forth fighting this case ever since. Well, just yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled that he's allowed to go pray on the 50-yard line after a game, which has everybody all up in arms. Well, not everybody, obviously. This is a big, another big win.
Honestly,
for
I'm surprised California is still in drought, to be 100% honest.
From all these liberal tears.
Liberal tears should end the California drought, but I still see signs that say, don't water your plants.
So, so, you know, there's more details to it, but that's the basic thing. The Supreme Court said, hey, yeah, this guy can go pray on the 50-yard line if he wants. He's not making students doing it. He's not leading like a public prayer. It's not part of the menu. No, what's the menu? The itinerary. You know, it's not part of the itinerary.
Right,
it's not like everybody
ritual or just
his own little ritual. You know, and students can do it if they want, but they don't have to. And oh my gosh, has this set a fire in the hearts and set a flood on the eyeballs of liberals all over the country. But it's all happened in quick succession. I mean, and it hits every like inflammatory subject matter. You've got gun control, boom. You've got abortion, boom. You've got prayer in school, religion in school. Nuclear bombs going off in the liberal press and the liberal political scene. Oh, and can you believe it? It's on an election year, Gonz. This only deepened my belief that I think that there are smoky back rooms, at least in the back office of the Democratic Party. I could see this being a genius machination because Democrats don't care. They don't want to vote. They don't like Biden. They barely like AOC. The Democrat voting base is so uninterested in what the Democrats have to offer them that the Democrats have no option but to basically set off these crazy political false flags where it's not just like, ooh, the Republicans will win if you don't vote for us. It is full on. The Christians are turning this country into a theocracy. We are no longer a democracy. And this is the missing piece. The missing piece is that they've been screaming and crying about how our democracy is in danger. Democracy is in danger. Trump is going to kill our democracy. Democracy.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, especially if they start hitting the big nuke buttons like they did.
Even Democratic voters are like, okay, what are you talking about? Like, the democracy is not going to go away. What in the world are you guys even saying? And nobody had an answer. They're just saying the words, Republicans are destroying our democracy without telling us exactly what they mean by it. And this is it. This is the plan. The plan is they're destroying our democracy and turning it into a theocracy, which is a country ruled by the prevailing religion. Theocracy is the problem. Theocracy is the danger. Democracy will go away and theocracy will replace it. This was the missing piece for the entire, goodness gracious, at least year since January 6th, where our democracy is in peril has been the rallying cry. And now they have it. It's a theocracy because in 4 days, those dang conservatives put their biblical, the biblical radicalness into the law of the land. Now, it's not law of the land. Supreme Court does not make laws, but most people don't know that, so they can just keep saying it. You got the gun thing, you got abortion, and now you got prayer in schools. Ooh, danger. And this is reflected by TheGuardian.com. The headline, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calls the Supreme Court justices to be impeached. Impeachment! Oh, Gonz, we're going to do another impeachment. Political pressure is mounting on Joe Biden to take more action to protect abortion rights across the U.S. as Firebrand, New York Congresswoman AOC called for Supreme Court justices to be impeached for misleading statements about their views on Roe v. Wade. And this is where she gets them. Ocasio-Cortez remarks took aim at Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch. Both were appointed by former President Donald Trump. Ooh, that's not good. And had signaled that they would not reverse the Supreme Court's landmark 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade during confirmation hearings, as well as in meetings with senators. So her whole case here for impeachment is, hey, look, these guys lied during their confirmation hearings.
Confirmation, yeah.
Right. They lied. They said they were going to do one thing and they did the exact opposite. And that I don't know literally anything about Supreme Court impeachments. I didn't even know it was possible. So I've got some reading to do. But
it is possible.
There's actually, I obviously think it is possible. I just had never considered it before. I think it is. There is actually something here, especially because Biden since then has come out and stated that he's not going to pack the courts and not get rid of the filibuster, and still saying these things that Democrats hate for him to say. And so impeachment may be the only way for them to move forward with this.
Yeah, it says here. Excuse me. House members can impeach a judge with a simple majority vote, but to be removed from office, a justice would need to be convicted by a 2/3 majority of the Senate.
Yeah, so it's the same process. Same process for the president.
It's going to be very difficult to do that, especially with the red wave that we're all riding right now. So
well, and who knows? I think the red wave might be in danger now.
It's possible. Yeah, actually, to your point about this kind of a, I don't know, like a psyop, the false flag of the Supreme Court giving the conservatives what they've been fighting for so long as a way to activate the other side of the aisle, and the sort of just the pendulum that we've been talking about swinging back and forth.
Yeah.
To your point, I think there's going to be a lot of bait for conservatives, people like us, people that, lean conservative and spiritual belief and Christians especially. And I think on one hand, there are legit concerns. On the other hand, there is sensationalism that takes place. So I think it'll be important for us to be very vigilant in what we consume.
And I think that is a huge part of it. There's the political part of this. There's the, all the big meta things going on. There's the elections. There's stuff like that. But on a personal level, for conservatives and especially for Christians, you got to know the liberal attitude towards Christianity is no longer just like they're crazy or they're mean or judgmental or any number of things that, that they sort of generally hold about Christians. Now it's literally like they are the threat to democracy. Mm-hmm. Christians who think that the law should align with the Bible are the threat to democracy. And it's funny, of course, because logically, nothing has changed outside the system. It's just the system working. Mm-hmm. And the system is going in a different direction than they prefer, but nothing is happening outside of the system right now. Yeah. This is democracy working. However, they don't see it that way because they disagree with what's going on. And so, y'all can manage your own relationships with your people, but keep in mind that there is a narrative being crafted, a worldview, a reality, a little r reality being conjured up by the wizards of the mainstream corporate media. And that reality is being adopted. Perhaps it is an infection. Perhaps it is an illusion, whatever it is. Many of your liberal friends and family are going to be under the spell of this new little r reality that is being crafted for them. And you just need to keep that in mind when having conversations, when, whatever, just in everything. Yeah. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, it's good to keep in mind that they see you as the literal enemy to democracy. And the idea being that you, a dear Christian, want to replace our democracy with a theocracy. And it is, I do fear just a little bit that we have not seen the end of this or even the pitch of the squeals of how intense this reality will sort of take root in people's minds.
Isn't it interesting that Republicans have been saying that the liberal left and the progressives are bringing in communism, authoritarianism, and they're destroying the country. And now the liberal Democrats are saying the conservatives are bringing in their theocracy and they're destroying the country. And guess what?
Fascism.
Guess what? We're both destroying the country. Not we, but just both parties are destroying the country by...
Well, just like Sarah Cobb said in that Al Jazeera paper, it is the narrative itself that creates the conditions that destroys the country. Yeah. It is not, without that narrative being created and installed in the operating system of the culture, it wouldn't happen. But it is simply the fact that the narrative is created, the wizards have conjured the illusion and have laid it over the eyes of the country on both sides, by the way. Yep. The libs have their version, which is the theocracy, and the conservatives have their version, which is the communism and things like that.
Or straight up Satanism.
Demonic power. This girl must be bracketing richcraft.
Just real quick, just to your point here.
No, you're killing it. Do it.
CBN News, the Christian perspective. This is probably one of the biggest, right? Mainstream, you can call it Christian outlet.
It's the closest thing to a mainstream Christian outlet. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and the headline here: Evil Row reaction. Witches, warlocks attack Christians with guttural growls, demonic curses, Satanists to create own abortion facilities.
Oh no!
And I mean, their header looks like a. I don't know. They should have done something a little bit more because they just straight up use the Satanic Temple logo with the word Satanic Temple on there and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe, yeah, all right. Anyway,
a little on the nose, but okay.
The cadre of witches, Satanists, and devil worshippers have crept out of the darkness to display their rage over the Supreme Court's ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade. Some of these evil activists have been summoning demonic forces, engaging in spiritual attacks and verbal assault against pro-life advocates and Christians outside the High Court as they have prayed for peace for the nation. Matt Staver, founder and chairman at the Liberty Council, a nonprofit Christian religious right law firm, said the witch-like protesters attempted to scare members from his D.C. office, and they held a prayer vigil outside the Supreme Court. Quote, black-robed men and women began arriving on the scene, screaming obscenities over the prayers, Staver said. Quote, a pro-abortion demonstrator brought a wagon carrying a large boombox, blaring satanic music and noise. What are we, 1980?
Yeah.
A woman walked right up to our podium and stood next to the pro-life speaker. Staver continued, quote, every time the pro-life speaker spoke, the woman would scream unmentionable curses into the megaphone pointed at the podium microphone. The pro-abortion crowd began cursing the justices and people praying and vehemently cursing God. You know, all this said, it doesn't seem like it came to any blows, you know? So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's part of the thing, right? With this country,
that is free speech.
You can kind of get out there and do your thing and say your piece. So on one hand, it's kind of like, all right, yeah, this is what this country sort of represents. But then also, you know, there's no pictures here. I don't have any video. Maybe there was a video report or something like that. Kind of hard to really.
Oh, you're not seeing any evidence of the thing?
Yeah.
No links to social posts or no embedded tweets or anything?
Nothing. Well, let's see. Let me see. There's a hyperlink to Staver said. It looks like just another article about this whole thing. But yeah, there's not a whole lot, which leads me to believe that maybe a little. I agree that there's probably some counter protesters, especially, you know, they see people praying and, you know, it brings out. Yeah. But a lot of times, you know, they're not like hardcore theistic Satanists walking. They do it as a mocking thing, you know, wearing the black robe.
I'll give the free speech advocates credit, just to adequately distinguish and describe what this is. And because it is a free speech issue, the entire organization is based around free speech stuff. And you know what? There's going to be some, you know, believers out there who will think that I'm defending Satanists, and I'm just telling you the facts of the matter, which is the Satanic Temple does not believe in a literal Satan. It is sort of, they, at least in their words, they describe themselves as an art project and a First Amendment free speech sort of activism organization.
Right.
And that is what they do. They do these types of things, and they do lots of other things, but it's all centered around things that they can defend with First Amendment free speech rules. I mean, it's the Constitution. Yeah. And it's all, you know, it's their point. The whole point of their existence is to make you mad, Christian.
Right.
And so you take them to court. They want you to take them to court so that they can use First Amendment protections to embarrass you and to make a point about, you know, free speech. And what they don't like most of all is the sort of default, what they see as American culture being sort of default Christian, which is hilarious because Christians don't think that either.
Yeah.
But that is just what it is. These particular people do not believe in a literal Satan, but they certainly use it to an effect.
I will say that, yes, they are not openly theistic Satanists. However, if you're looking at the spiritual principality behind perhaps their worldview and their cosmology, you can certainly say that it's one of the fallen spirits that they're following.
In a supernatural worldview, that does not make what they're doing any less satanic or any less spiritual.
Right.
Again,
we have to be
please
very
don't
careful
understand
about the
me,
words.
dear Christian.
I
Please don't
think you're
understand
doing okay.
me. I just want to correctly describe. I don't want to straw man these people.
Sure. Yep. There's a lot of layers to this. I want to talk about the warlock real quick before we wrap this.
Do your thing. Talk about the warlock.
This is Staver again. Staver reports a man dressed like a warlock targeted senior women who were praying on the steps of the Supreme Court. Quote, the warlock would crowd one woman at a time, making the sign of Satan over each woman's head. Is that the devil horns?
Probably the rock and roll devil horn thing.
The longhorn, the Texas Longhorns.
Aleister Crowley.
As he made the signs,
hand symbol.
As he made the sign, guttural growls in a language our staff could not understand issued from his throat as he spat his demonic curses over the women. One by one, he tried to corner and curse them, Staver said. And
very colorful language here.
Yeah. Again, this is... I don't doubt that this happened, but I'm more curious about, and obviously if you're crowding people and getting in their faces, you probably shouldn't be getting in the faces of old women trying to prey on.
Especially when there's an upper respiratory disease floating around.
Yeah. Were they all wearing masks? What about that, huh? Okay. Well, anyway,
were they?
Probably not. I don't know. Yes, they were all wearing their Satan masks.
Yes, they're very safe. They were wearing their N95s with a pentagram on the front.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Our whole little journey here, the Supreme Court triggering what seems to be the chaos that is election year 2022.
Well, yeah, and I think something to note with this outlet that you're reading is that this theocratic sort of philosophical debate is coming from both sides as well.
Well, this is confirming when the Democrat, liberal, whatever, when they read this, they'll be like, there you go. This is this is what they want. They want to burn witches again. The whole deal.
When the Satanic Temple inevitably finds the link to this article and they share it around on their newsletter.
Oh gosh.
And things like that, So it really is, and I think it's an interesting parallel how the Putin has been describing and framing his war in Ukraine and the reaction from the West as a literal religious war. The West against the Eastern Orthodox Church and Christianity, the real Christianity as they see it, and the effectiveness of the same strategy on this side of the pond,
right?
Being, hey, if there is a culture war, you make it a culture holy war, and boom, the stakes are even higher.
How can the West represent properly anything if there's no unity? If it's very easy for in America.
Oh, you mean how good it is? How good this split is for Putin and for probably the East in general.
Because inevitably what they're probably going to do is, this is nothing revolutionary or groundbreaking or anything like that. They've been doing the Russia-Trump thing forever, but it makes sense that eventually, they're going to tie all Republicans as part of wanting the theocracy, and thus they are one with Putin, and they should just all move to Russia, get out of here, because that whole thing. So I don't know. It goes both ways, but it's the chaos is palpable and intentional, and we do this 3 times a week, sometimes 4, and we keep track, we keep our finger on the pulse of the world, and we notice when people start freaking out, because we're kind of always watching things go on.
When there's a shift.
So there's a shift in sentiment.
Really, if nothing else, I'm grateful to God at the sensitivity that doing this show has given us to noticing when important shifts happen, even if they may just seem like a disjointed series of news articles. So there you go. All sorts of fun stuff going on, folks. And it's going to continue. It's going to get more intense. So keep an eye out for it. And be aware. Be aware of little traps here and there, little social traps that may be laid for you, either in a spiritual sense or a political sense or whatever, trying to lure you into this literally crafted situation that is useful literally only for the lizard people who are playing a much bigger game than whatever is happening right in front of you. And with that, speaking of a much bigger game, Gonz, the biggest game.
No, I would like to know, what is it? The break?
You know when you start a sentence and you don't know where it's going to go.
Yes.
It is the biggest game, called the Defending Independent Media from the Real Enemy. Our independent media is at stake, folks, and it's the lizard people at the advertising agencies who are coming for your children. Let's take a break. There we go. We got there. We're taking a break, folks, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're diving into some COVID, some whack-cheen stuff, very important stuff. So stick around, and remember, YouTubers, you're going to have to find a new outlet for the second part of the show here. But we're going to thank some producers. That's right. I said producers because we're on the value for value model, which, if you've been listening since the beginning, you know is the only way to defend independent media in a very real way. To talk about the spiritual implications. We talk about the spiritual implications of advertising and how that's inextricably linked from the narrative crafting of not just the news media, but also entertainment media as well. And how advertising, the master wizards, by the way, of worldview crafting, creating a reality around you, which convinces you that you need to buy things that you don't actually need with money that you don't have. I mean, they perfected the magical art of narrative crafting because they can do it in 30 seconds. And part of the way that it's so effective is they conscript your favorite podcasters, the ones you trust, the ones you listen to, the ones you gift your attention to, perhaps like us 3 times a week. And if they can get those podcasters on board and integrate them into their spell, it's very effective. And that's why we don't participate. That's one of the main reasons why we don't participate. There's some very real betrayals of big T truth, big R reality that we don't want to participate in. Instead, we're on the value for value model. It's the only way that it works. In the first version, the advertising version, it's corporations that decide the value, and they decide that value based on how many people they can mind control, basically. But the other value, the value for value model, the other side of that, is simply giving power back to you, the people, to get a product. The product will always be for free. If you never want to produce, you will survive and you will listen to the show for free forever. But the show will not survive if somebody out there does not decide that this show is valuable and that value needs to get put back into the system. And the people who put value back in, there's 3 ways you can do it: your time, your talent, or your treasure. You don't need to be a brilliant artist if you could help us out with back end stuff. You don't need to help us out with back end stuff if you can support us financially, and the wheel goes on. It's a nice little trifecta that supports this show. And we like to thank our producers who come in with their time, talent, or treasure. We'll be thanking our treasure producers right. Head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. And we're going to start out with our executive producers.
Executive producers.
As I said before, the executive producers are people who are participating with their whole heart in keeping this show going, putting value back in, understanding what's at stake, and carrying a heavy load while the rest of us take a little breaky poo. And we appreciate them very much. We're starting out with thanking our executive producer, Darren S.
Darren S.
Yes.
Where'd
Thank you very much. Executive producer, Darren S. comes in with $111.11, and we appreciate that very, very much. Darren S. did send a note, but it was a private note.
Okay.
And he also did come in with $3.33 as well. So came in twice. It was really, really sweet. Very nice. Thank you, executive producer Darren S. Darren S. is on a streak as well, an 11-episode streak.
Very cool.
Look at that. He comes in with 11 on his 11th streak.
Oh.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Darren.
Next up, we have executive producer Juan A.
Juan.
The chosen Juan.
Where'd you
very
find
much.
this?
And Juan A comes in with $113.33. Illuminatus. Yes, and he does send a note. He says, "Hola, brochachos. Here's some more moolah. Hope it helps with the bills and whatnot, because you know inflation sucks." Sideways face. Much love to you and y'all's kiddos and kitties. Peace to my brothers and Cristo. Thank you very much, Juan A.
Thank you, Juan A.
Yeah.
And, speaking of inflation, because you brought it up, just real briefly here. One of the inflation hedges against, the traditionally has been called an inflation hedge is gold. And we just reported how the U.S. and basically G7 said that they're blocking any gold that comes from Russia. They're like, no more gold, right? Which is partly symbolic because I guess the London Bullion Market Association already removed Russian gold refiners from the list of accredited companies back in March or something.
Well, they finally banned gold, and European nations had been sort of sneakily buying Russian gold recently. Part of their purchases for gas and stuff.
And some people are suggesting that it inadvertently makes an argument for Bitcoin to be sort of the world, reserve currency of sorts. And just real briefly here, MarketWatch.com headline: Gensler, who is the Exchange Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, what is he? The commissioner, or Securities and Exchange Commission chairman. There you go.
There it is.
Gary Gensler said Monday that Bitcoin was the only cryptocurrency he was prepared to publicly label a commodity rather than security in an interview with CNBC. Okay, so
that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Now, we talk about commodity. We say the word commodity, but I don't know that everybody listening, especially like maybe younger listeners, know what that means. And so I have a list here of the top 10 biggest commodities in the world. And I'll just go through them real quickly. Number 10, cotton. Number 9, wheat. Number 8, corn. Number 7, sugar. Number 6, silver. Number 5, Brent oil. Number 4, gold. Number 3, natural gas. Number 2, coffee. And number 1, crude oil. Some basic necessities for society to function. And for Gensler to say, oh, Bitcoin's one of those. It's a commodity.
Right.
Is kind of it's kind of gnarly. So just a side note with all the inflation talk here.
I know. I mean, then there's so much wrapped up in there. It's a statement about where we're headed. It's a statement about what the technology means to society. I mean, the commodity as a general sort of financial term references like, oh yeah, no, society will always need these things.
Right.
This is useful. And it is a building block of society, is what a commodity sort of entails, versus a security, which is just some sort of financial device that you just kind of play with and that's why it's regulated.
Of returns, yeah.
Where it's sort of an imaginary dreamscape objects, these securities.
Pump it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
commodity,
anyway,
yeah.
just a
So
little
for a
side
guy
note.
in his place to call Bitcoin a commodity, there's this. You could do a whole podcast on that.
There's lots of podcasts on that. And there will be in the
You
coming
don't
days.
say. Somebody's actually done a podcast about Bitcoin?
I think so. I'm sure it's out there.
We're
Maybe
late
we
to
should
the game
change.
again, Gon.
Yeah, right. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, executive producer Juan A.
Yes. Thank you very much.
May I continue?
Yeah.
Let's skip the supply drop today.
Okay.
But I would like to thank Lovin Ya, who came in. An imperfect system over here. But Lovin Ya came in episode 500 for the episode 500 pledge, the $10 per episode.
Thank you, Love and Ya.
So thank you very much, Lovin Ya.
Appreciate it.
Next up, we've got producer John M, who is on a 2-episode streak.
Hey, he's on the show.
And came in with a nice round number. And for those who don't know, now you know. If you come in with a nice round number, it tells us not to disclose the amount of your producership, and we're totally okay with that. If you don't mind us disclosing it, you put something funky on there with, in the numbers. You can put 33 cents or 11 cents or something. Yeah, figure it out yourself, but you get the point. I do want to make a statement also. Sometimes people add fees. You have the option to help us out with the PayPal fees when you make a producership. And I just want you to know we always look at the original producership to base that decision on. Because if you add fees, then it changes the number, makes it all weird. So your original producership is what we base that disclosure on. Next up, we've got Sir JC, Night of the Techno Squatch, 119 episodes in a row.
Woo!
Yeah!
Quicker.
Oh, yeah!
Thank you so much.
1001. Amen.
That's right. He comes in with the 1001. Thank you very much. He's got a note here. I'm so late to this. Hope you're blessed with a great multitude of viewership from the NA Sunday broadcast. Thank you very much,
Sir
Sir
JC.
JC, Night of the Techno Squatch. And yes, we'll see. We will see if the NA people show up. Next up, we have producer Morv on a 107 episode streak.
Quicker.
Oh, yeah!
Thank you so much.
That's right. And producer Morph comes in with the 1111. Next up, we have LX Protocol V2 on a 47 episode streak. And I made a whoopsie doodles. He comes in. He also joined in on the 500 pledge, the
cool.
$10 an episode pledge. I don't know how we missed you. I'm very sorry. And also came in with a pocket full of sevens and a name where he mentions didn't hear my name on Friday's show, but I auto pledged. Is the streak/name shout out. Only those who produce each episode like this. Thank you for all you do. It is Monday now. Why don't you give him a Monday jingle while I collect my thoughts?
Sure. Well, it's appropriate for a protocol to properly list the day.
Indeed.
Gary, what day is it? Monday?
Yes, and the general protocol across the board is if you are joining some sort of recurring producership, whether that's monthly or something like the episode 500 pledge, you are thanked when you sign up, and that is that. And there's lots of reasons for this. Lots of people ask why we don't thank every monthly producer every time they do that, and we just kind of had to draw the line somewhere. And we can't do it person by person. It's just a general rule. If you sign up to, on a recurring basis, we thank you, and we're very, very thankful. And we thank you when you sign up, and it's incredible. But to do that every time it comes in would get just honestly quite laborious as a process for us to deal with. Yeah, I guess that's a simple enough answer. And yes, we just missed you when you signed up. Sorry about that,
sorry
LX
about
Protocol V2.
We got you.
Yeah. Okay, and that concludes. Wait. I did see somebody come in, and that is producer Malik. Malik W came in.
Malik W.
Thank you. Yes.
Just made it.
I think that puts him on a 2-episode streak.
Hey. All right.
And
Good stuff, Malik.
That does it. Thank you very much. That concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. Again, quite a small group in that sort of mid-level producer group there, but it's been a weird schedule, man.
I know.
That's the thing with producership. It's not just do you want to produce, it's can you remember when we're on a weird schedule.
Yeah.
So, anywho, thank you very much. We also have some who came in underneath that cutoff, the 777 cutoff, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, the streak, 173 episodes in a row.
Yes, they call him the street. Fast thing on 2 feet.
Next up, we've got, now here's a little note here. Because Sunday is weird, we did not count it against anybody if they did not come in. We didn't account it against their streak, but that does cause an interesting shift that just happened.
I do see this, yeah.
Yes. Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, has been 10 episodes behind Sir Casey, right there on his tail for so long. Well, in fact, for 162 episodes in a row.
Oh, what was that? Okay, here we go. Yes, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth.
Yes, they call him the street.
Somehow your streak thing something didn't register.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. What happened was Sir Casey came in on Sunday and Sir Scott missed it. He didn't lose his streak, but it did shift the balance just by one.
That's right.
So
Sir Casey the Shield Knight has put another episode between you and between you and him. So Sir Scott, Knight of Truth.
We've had a lot of anyways, this is another production meeting you and I should have before we ramble on. Just for time's sake.
Yeah, no, we're already behind.
I want to Darren S. We already thanked him. We have the Streak Sisters. Gail M. is on a 138 episode streak.
Oh my goodness! Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, they call him the street.
Streak. Flying on 2 feet.
Women rule.
Yeah, and of course, Veronica D comes in. Same streak, 138. Thank you, Veronica D.
Women rule.
Thank you, Streak Sisters.
Okay, that concludes our list of financial producers. Thank you all so much for keeping this show going. You're the only reason we can. But Gonz, we did get a response from one of our episode 500 nights. We have a nighting to do.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, you can pull your sword out, or you?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Here you go.
All right, got my katana.
Okay, we want to call up Billabong Bill. Please step forward to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, where we have a seat for you. Thanks to your generous support during our episode 500 Roundtable special, we are proud to pronounce you Sir Knight Billabong Bill. Let me try that again. Sir Knight Billabong Bill, defender of the Sleepy Pug Loaves. Please join us at the Canary Cry Roundtable, where we have the belt of truthful truthiness, the breastplate of righteous righteousness, the custom-fit Birkenstock to carry forth the gospel peace, the shield of ferocious faith, the helmet of substantiating salvation, the supernatural sword of the spirit, and, of course, adorable samurai babies, infinitely cute kitties for cutting. And if you're hungry, we have Fancy Feast, Wet Food, Carved Cosmo, the Crisper Cow. I'm going to add some Sleepy Pug Loaves in there, and, of course, fried wormicorns. Welcome to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And the crowd goes wild. Congratulations are going back and forth in the chat. Billabong Bill, thank you very much. And remember, let this serve as a reminder to all the rest of you, episode 500 Knights and Dames, to send in your knight or dame name, and we will put you on the schedule for the celebration.
Defender of the Sleepy Pug Loaves.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what a Sleepy Pug Loaf is, right?
I don't. What is a Sleepy Pug
Sleepy
Loaf?
little pug, and he's in a little loaf.
Oh.
He's a little loaf on the floor, just sleeping, looking so cute.
Okay.
There you go. All right. That's it, Gonz. And that's it to all the producers. Thank you so much, and thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
No speak pipe today.
Oh, no messages. Okay.
No messages.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, do you want to play the jingle and we can tell people how to do it?
All right.
I mean, we don't have to.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a
Message. That's right. You can go to CanaryCry.Newstalk.com, leave us a voice message. You'll see a little green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side. Click on that. It'll just let you leave a message right there. It's pretty cool. And you are giving us permission to play it on the show, but it's not guaranteed. And we got none for today, which is okay with us because we got to keep moving.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Bye, YouTube.
Get out of here, YouTube.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, you can find all those links at CanaryCry.Party as well.
Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
You got
Go
anything to say?
CanaryCry.
No.
Go CanaryCry.Party and find a different place to watch. Go.
It's Corona time.